Hey everybody, it's Chrissy Sawyer here. Welcome back to the channel. Feels like it's been a while. So there's been an awful lot going on, and to push myself to do the end of May recordings for you guys feels incongruent at the moment. So I'm staying in the truth of that. And so it might be that, well, I don't know how it will be for the rest of May. It might just be these collective readings to help us move through this change point. It's such an active change point. And so I did some channeling this morning, and I've got quite a lot of stuff for you guys that's come in. And it's going to be another one of those slow readings. I'm feeling very slow and pausing and tuning in. So let's do the hellos. Hello and welcome, Michelle Robinson. Love, love, love back to you, sister. It's lovely to have you here. CP, hello, welcome. Bonnie, hello and welcome. And Sarah Nicole Harms Miller, thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you for your beautiful comments and your subs. And another reason that I haven't been with you on air is because Zoom has decided to change my settings, and I can't change them back. So Zoom's obviously updated. And so the only way I can get written text to appear as it is to accept the new mirror settings, which puts the furniture, which puts the furniture on this side, but it's normally on this side. So, and it's allowing me to see a different reflection of my face, where I really notice that my nose is slightly crooked. I've never seen that before. So these are the new things, new ways of seeing self. And I want to talk into that a little bit. So I just started writing and kept writing and writing and writing. So again, you know, a really lovely, soft, slow space for you to just kind of tune in. And I've got 2 sticks of sage. I've got my red bound sage, that's base chakra. So it's lifting up the Shakti energy. And the white bound, which is bringing in the cosmic light. And they're burning end to end, so they're kind of keeping each other alive at the moment. Okay, they're keeping each other alive at the moment. And it's that symbiosis that I want to talk into. So you might want to pause here, grab yourself a cuppa, and just sit and relax while I share some thoughts with you. Okay. So the question I might phrase is, what's your DMP? What's your decision-making process? How would you describe that? Because what I'm seeing is some contradictions in where we think we are and where we're actually at. So I'm just going to start reading after a quick slow. So we have a lot of deep, dark, burrowing shadow energy in the field at the moment, and it's causing overwhelm in some people. And when we're in overwhelm, we're not in control. When we're in overwhelm, we're not fully conscious. We're on the back foot and coming from a place of smallness and fear. And it's difficult to instigate change from that place. So Claim your power is the antidote to overwhelm. If you need to journey to the underworld to battle demons, which are you, by the way, then do it as a warrior rather than a debilitated, wounded soldier who's doing as they're told or following orders against their will, because that is moral injury. And that's playing into all of this. Within us is an innate trigger to fight, to lean in when it might be better to lean out, take a broader perspective and switch to the objective, what is actually happening, rather than the subjective perception of our world in that moment. How do I feel about what's happening? Where does my program get pulled in to that to manage it and control it? And in that, where do I feel out of control? This morning, I sat in the garden and I was observing my rose plant. And there it sat happily in its pot. And what my eye got drawn to was the army of ants corralled around its base and crawling all over it. My subjective response was an emotional one. I wanted to go to war with the ants. Well, it's a brave human that goes to war with ants. They are the best army in the world. My subjective response was an emotional one. I wanted to go to war with the ants to fight them off and protect the rose. But when I switched to an objective viewpoint, leaning out, and became a witness to all of life, I clearly saw what was actual rather than perceived. Actually, this rose is happy and healthy. There is no sign of whitefly or aphid, and it looks to be busy forming buds for its splendid show later in the year. My interference at this point would upset the balance of co-production in nature. So I go to research ants and aphids, and I see this paragraph. Who would consider ants as farmers? Plant pests and picnic nuisances, yes, but farmer is not a vocation naturally assigned to these tiny insects. However, it is a true circumstance in which they herd and care for aphids in order to keep a much-loved food in constant supply. Aphids and ants on plants are as interdependent as peanut butter and jelly. So what the ants do is they gather the aphids together and they stroke their tummies, and that makes the aphid release this secretion, this honey, sweet secretion, which the ants feed off. Okay. So here in front of me is dynamic cooperation, the aphids being managed by the ants. It is the antithesis of resistance, and I might say the antithesis of the essence of the fight-flight response in me, in us. This fight-flight response is hardwired in us and can interrupt a more natural movement into acceptance and surrender of what is in this moment, even if what is conflict. My conflict of not being able to control the ants. It's the final push through. So this is the space that we're in the moment, is the push through what is now, rather than move around or over or worse to squash something seemingly unpalatable. This avoidance of conflict is where the New Age movement is teaching what I call toxic positivity. No amount of positive thinking can raise up and heal the shadow that lurks within us, our deepest fear response, which predicates upon the paradigm of a situation being good or bad or right or wrong. It is archaic, religious, divine thinking that is, in the end, divisive. It doesn't encourage integration and embodiment, but instead it moves us to reject that which is ugly messy, dark, devilish, even demonic. And our fear of these darker energies is what throws us into overwhelm, because we daren't battle the dragon. We don't have to, we just have to love it up. Raise its vibration to lift it up into integration and acceptance. And then we can draw the wisdom, because the gold is in the dark. All of these energies exist within our light. They are light, and only our light can transmute and support the integration of all, the acceptance of all. We are all. This time right now is the reclaiming of personal sovereignty, and no is a complete sentence. No, I will no longer shame some of my essence because it doesn't fit into this new age paradigm, which only seeks to disempower me and cause me to outsource my quest to those who seek to identify and label me. This time right now is about self-identity. And how I self-identify will cause others to feel some kind of way, some kind of conflict. And like those many years ago when I asked myself, how do I shine my light in the face of willful ignorance? And listening to the remedy and the feeling of the frisson of a shiver, Shiva, that ran through me when I heard it, my remedy came through as turn your light up, blind them. As you know, at the moment, I'm discovering Shiva, but it would seem that I am not. It would seem that Shiva has come into my life to affirm and reaffirm the work I've done so far. I'm only now beginning to understand. I've been dancing with Shiva for decades without knowing it. Again, hindsight is the only perfect science. Stay with it. You know, when you're in the lostness of not knowingness, stay with it, move through it. Okay. When I empty myself of programming, dogma, drama, ego projection, false personality, when I challenge myself to birth something new, something that doesn't fit in with the mainstream, I open up the void within me, the unknown. The void is the unmanifest. The void is Shiva. And I've still a lot to do. I've still a lot to do. Recently, I've been dancing with the word misfit, and only now for the first time, really deeply understanding it. Society shames, excludes, diagnoses, and medicates the misfit, making it something to be avoided at all costs. Only now do I see how we try to fit in, to not behave like a misfit, how we learn to turn our weird, edgy light down, so we don't draw too much attention. I can see how I've done this myself in the past. Becoming a misfit is my art. Tipping the apple cart is my art. Willfully disappointing others is my art. Being weird, exotic, and different is my art. How can we embrace diversity if we fail to bring it out from our own soul? It is anathema. And I want to share a film I watched recently. I don't know why I watched it. Cognitively, I didn't know why I watched it. It's not one of the funniest films I've ever seen, but something was calling me. The film is The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. And there's this scene in the film. I'm not going to talk into what the film's about. If you want to watch it, you know, dig it out and have a look. But there's a scene in the film where Sandra Bullock, who plays an altogether successful publisher, suited, booted, in control, uptight, that kind of character, gets flipped off the back of a speedboat. And she cannot swim. Okay, so she's flailing about in the water. And being flipped off the back of a speedboat is what it took to strip away her projection of powerful businesswoman. There she hung, clinging to the boy, unable to swim, and every inch a terrified teenager. And I've watched this film 4 or 5 times. I've never seen this before. And I had this epiphany. She's hanging on for dear life. And Ryan Reynolds' character is reaching out to take her hand. She daren't let go of the boy. She doesn't trust herself enough to let go with one hand and take the hand of help. So it's about receiving, receptivity. She wanted to be in control. Her terrified teenager was her real self, and the self who makes her every decision in her life. She's coming from a place of terror. This is the unhealed child within who sometimes runs the show without us even noticing. And I'm seeing that energy coming up in the collective an awful lot. It's what makes us react rather than respond, because that unhealed, unmet, unacknowledged, unvalidated teenager is angry and terrified. Okay. I'm going to pull some cards just to see where this goes. But it's like, the feeling at the moment is like standing in no man's land. It's the birth. So we're in the birth. We are birthed. Those who are doing the work, those who are deeply curious and on their personal quest, we're in the birth and we're standing on new territory, which hasn't been claimed. It has no flag in it, you know, no divisive energy owning it and labeling it. So we have to find a new way to be here, and that's going to feel, I can only describe how it feels for me, which is there's this lostness, this alienness, this wanting to doingness, wanting to be doing rather than just being with it, because it hasn't settled. The energy is still coming in. And of course, it's hitting every trigger on the way down. And, you know, I've been quiet this last week or so because there's been so many triggers to work through, just trigger after trigger for about 3 weeks now. And it's just understanding those, leaning out, taking a really objective view, and then applying it to the self that wants to rise and refine. So I started shuffling the archetype cards, and I love this. The first 2 that came out, Slave and Guide. Okay, Guide came out first. So Guide in its light attribute represents the nature of the divine in life and yourself. And the nature of the divine, like the rose plant, is combative in our perception. Ants damaging the rose, and they're not. They're not. They're helping it to thrive. It just looks a mess. Nature is a mess. The divinity is a mess. My divinity sometimes pulls a sword. My divinity sometimes loves the unlovable. And the shadow attribute of the guide is one who places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. Well, that's religion. Ooh, stone in my heart. That's religion. So what we're breaking down, one of the big themes is old religious programming around God is outside of you and you have to earn his acceptance. Well, that's nonsense. That's absolute tomfoolery. And anybody who follows that needs to seriously question themselves, because that's external identity. That's identifying with something outside of yourself. And all of your identity coding lies within. Everything lies within. Every answer to every question you can conceive of lies within. The nature of divine in life and in me probably isn't how I was brought up. As a Catholic and then a Christian, obviously, I want to explore religion and philosophy. Isn't, you know, archangelic song and harps. That's bollocks. That's just utter rubbish. So slave energy, you know, these guides, they kind of go back to back, like two sides of the same coin, here and now. And the slave energy in its light attribute is about surrender. Surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. Okay, so ants and aphids. I surrendered my need to control and get all bossy, like I know nature better than it knows itself. And completely and divinely trust this doesn't need me. This isn't in my hands. So that's surrendering to God's will, not personal will, not the personality that gets projected. I'm all together, I know what I'm doing. Well, I'm not. Sometimes I'm a fucking mess. I spent the afternoon with somebody dear to me yesterday, and we were walking through town, and there was a young mum walking past us with a baby in a pushchair, a toddler in a pushchair. Beautiful little kid it was. And it was just whining. It was just whining for no reason. And I mimicked it. And the person I was with went, yeah, I see that. I see that. I see something in you that's like, I don't care that you're pushing me around and I don't even have to walk. I don't feel good. It was that, just totally giving up of the personal will and surrendering to, I feel like crap today. I didn't know what dimension I was in yesterday. So I just kind of sat with it. I just sat with it in that lunacy of it. And the shadow aspect of the slave is giving your willpower to an external authority. Going to church. Please, can I be healed? Well, heal thyself. Please, can I know? Your gnosis is within. Fool. Giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. This is the colossal disempowerment of the divine being. That's the big picture. Humans are messy. Making our own decisions is about messing up. It's about exploring like a child. And here we go, we're resurrecting that child energy, the innocent. I'm going to play in the mud and eat worms because I want to see what that's like. It isn't tidy. It isn't tidy. It's barely cognitive. It's making manifest the unmanifest. It's daring to walk into the void within yourself, which, because of religious programming, has been repainted as the devil. There's light and shadow in every polarity. If it's good, it's also bad. But it's about the soul's experience of it. How am I experiencing this? That's how to move into adult and lift the teenager up. Oh, yeah. Thank you. That's absolutely beautiful. Surrendering your power of choice to the divine. Solar plexus. Ow. Oh, my back just twinged then. The sun, Leo. So if we think of the sun as the energy that feeds life, all of life, without the sun we don't exist. And the sun is the solar plexus, it's Leo energy, fire. And if it's the solar plexus, then what it's actually about is my will or God's will. Okay. So my will is the small personality that wants others to see me in a certain way. It's how we manipulate the collective. We don't do it because we're bad or evil. We do it because we're scared shitless of showing people how exotic and unusual and weird we are. Okay, we all have that weirdness within us. We had it as children. We just learned to squash it. So I think what these two cards are telling me is to harness the sun within. The sun is within you. The whole cosmos is within you. Tune into your own light and dance with that, rather than becoming dependent on a sun that makes you feel good for 10 minutes. That's the externalization of the inner light. And if I'm not in the sun, I don't get fed. Well, I can feed from within. I can generate my light from within. That's beautiful. Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm getting used to these directions. This is crazy. New directions, you see. Five of Pentacles is this sorrowful, pitiful. That's how I felt yesterday, being shut out of my own world. The key is, no, the key is there. This is weird. Life is a mirror. Life is a mirror. But the key is there. She just feels so forlorn that she doesn't realize the door is within her and the key is within her. It's all within her. So tuning into that inner light of the sun is going to open that door. But what it's going to open it into, we don't know. And that's one of the things we avoid because we like to know. So what's going to support that is to go within and shine your own light. Look, when we shine our light on the path ahead, the little bit of the path ahead, the hermit is the wisdom keeper. The hermit is the guide within, the intuition, the school within. These cards are brilliant. We create our own tower moments. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens because you made it happen. Sandra Bullock hanging onto that buoy, not trusting herself to receive help, created her own tower moment. When it becomes life and death, you kind of have to make a decision. And she decided to reach out and free herself from this perception of trapped, I can't, I daren't, I'm not worthy, I'm not strong enough energy. That's just an illusion. Look how loose those ties. This is like the devil card. You can slip the chains off at any time. It's up to you. If you're brave enough to stand in the energy of that tower and watch the perceived personality crumble. So from this, $5,000 suit and killer heels, hair scraped back, looking mint immaculate and totally bound to the crashing into the water off the back of a speedboat. I mean, that is the speed of lightning that will come straight out of the blue to serve her highest purpose, to get stripped back to nothing. And what happened after that is she became very quiet. She went within. She found her humanity, which is within. You're not alone. We're not alone in this family. We're not alone. Okay. We're all going through this. Whoever is doing their work, moving through into the next to build the next new paradigm, to check every thought and feeling and perception. Okay, we're all in it. Thank you, that's beautiful. Yeah. Everything's reversing. Everything's reversing. Star. That's the wish card. I did another meditation this morning, and I was guided to my garden, because I can't really have a garden at the moment for lots of different reasons. I've got a garden, but lots of different reasons. I can't pour my heart and soul into it, and I'm a mad gardener. I love gardening. And so I created my garden within, which was stunning and beautiful. And I went to sit under a giant tree that was in the garden. And Shiva came in, the void came in, the unknown. And am I brave enough to dance with the unknown? And I said, yes, torch the lot. Torch the whole thing, burn it to the ground. And then I noticed that part of my consciousness had left the tree standing because I was attached to it. And I said, and the tree. And I watched the tree fall, and I cried as I let it go. So I've cleared the ground, I've burnt it down, because it's an illusion. It's just an illusion. What I was seeing was an illusion. And this time last week, I'd have told you I was manifesting that. It was a dream, but here now today, and it makes no sense, it was an illusion. So I'm standing on burned ground. This is Shiva, Ouroboros, the burning to ash of every scheme and every hope and every dream that's actually holding us back. Wow, this is getting really profound. Hey, what's new? Let's have some beasties. Okay, let's have an explosion of beasties. Yep. Yep. 44.8. Wow, wow, wow. Building the new ground. After that tower moment, you've got to rebuild the ground, the foundation within, the foundation without, through this new mirror where I don't know which direction I'm going. And my nostrils are a different shape. I'm really seeing myself for the first time. Reclaiming power, courage as well. Well, you know, so what? At the moment, so what? Because one of the most pervasive paradigms on the planet is the happy ever after, is the Walt Disney, boy got the girl, girl got the boy, whatever. As a metaphor, that's actually all about the inner alignment of the masculine and the feminine. Seven is the number of the mystic, is the alchemical fusing of the light into matter. To build a new container. And it's in nature, it's in the nature of us. It's in the nature of us. "30, highly creative energy and very unstable." One of my numbers is 30. I know how unstable it can be. It's, I've been yesterday, if I could have named yesterday, it would have been like sevens. It would have been the Seven of Swords, the thief in the night. It would have been the Seven of Cups, the absolute confusion of what seems like lots of opportunity around me. But actually, when I tune into all of this opportunity, nothing's pulling my heart, nothing's lighting that fire within me. So I'm going to burn it to the ground. I'm just going to keep burning it to the ground until something moves me so deeply I cannot not do it. That's the energy I'm waiting for, that I cannot not do it. I do it with absolute conviction that I'm in the right time, the right place, the right space. And that isn't here yet because I'm just standing in this wilderness of a new land, and that's it. That's all I have to work with. God, it's going to drive me crazy. 13.4 is it's bringing stability into the unstable. it's ambivalence. It's holding the tension of conflict, the cognitive dissonance of what I should do and what I want to do, what I'm moved to do passionately. Look at all this beautiful sacral energy and solar plexus coming in. Just claim your independence. I'm not saying claim your independence from the paradigm that puts you in boxes and containers. Misfit. My independence is my misfit. It is my art. Okay. And one of the ways that we're doing this is with healthy boundaries. No is a complete sentence. 3. Look at all this unstable energy. 13, 30, 3. 3 of Cups. 9, the Hermit, 3 threes. Lots of unstable energy here. So what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? They're beautiful cards. Okay, so I'm going to maybe, yeah, let's have some Nature's Whispers. So, and surrender cards. We'll do some surrender cards. One of us didn't want to come out. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Surrender. Surrender to confusion, I would say. Surrender to not knowing. Surrender your control, or your need to control, or your want to control. Spot your insecurity and name it. Bring it out to play. Give it some crayons. Okay. This is a really easy message. Okay. Make space for renewal. Make space. This Phoenix energy. Moon. I just noticed that there's a stray card in this pack that doesn't belong here, and I'm bringing it in because at the end of May we have a total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, Western. True sidereal, that's probably going to be an Ophiuchus, isn't it? Or Scorpio. Anyway, it's going to be deep, which is why we're diving now with this Plutonian energy, the underworld energy. And we've got to make space to honor that rather than flee from it like a flea. For renewal. Yeah. Gosh. Oh. Oh, wow. Surrender to the light within. Surrender to the light within, get really quiet, sleep, rest, inner peace. Lao Tzu says, if you're suffering with depression, you're living in the past. If you're suffering with anxiety, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, you're here now. So again, training yourself to move from subjectivity to objectivity. What actually is this? Is really coming into the here now. And very often, like this morning with the rose and the ants, there's part of me that wanted to go to war. There's no war to fight. War was over in that moment. And what actually existed in that moment was actually symbiosis and harmony. But it was me that was out of harmony with it. So I moved myself into the acceptance of that grace and that divinity. Surrender to inner peace. How can you cultivate inner peace on a daily basis? Well, if I might make so bold and answer that, spend 5 minutes a day. Shut down. And that's it. And 5 minutes is a long time when you go within. No TV, no radio, no phone, nothing. Just 5 minutes. And let yourself drop into the body and keep dropping and keep dropping and keep dropping. You are an endless well of wisdom. And be in the peace of that. But what do I do with it? That's the mind, that's the ego, wants to control. You're being at peace, that's it. Focus on the inner stillness, the nothingness. Surrendering to spirit, again, is that solar plexus wanting to come in. The egoic solar plexus wants to come in and take control. Be a bit bossy, a bit know-all. Surrendering the solar plexus, surrendering the heart to spirit, the spirit that is within you, that knowingness that is within you, is where you'll get your best actions, you'll get your best answers. And rest and sleep, and I'm guilty of this, I forget and I underestimate the depth of what I'm choosing to put myself through, of the work that I'm doing in my world. I underestimate it. I have these great big epiphanies. And the other day, it was just like, it's just like a whole morning of epiphanies. Oh my God, oh my God, oh no. Relentless epiphanies. And then the next day I wake up and I'm fine. I think it's all done, but no. I have to process that. That has to integrate. And that's when I forget to carve out long periods of time for rest. So yeah, rest. And that's it. That's it. We're in new territory now. We need to make space for this renewal. And that's going to feel some kind of way. Stay with it. Tune into the heart. Go and sit in the heart. Because in the heart there are only answers, and in the head there are only questions. So my lovelies, I don't know when I'll be back again. There's a lot for me to do, to be. There's a lot for me to be at the moment, and I'm honouring that. And I hope you take something from this that's useful. And I'll be back again when I am. I don't know what's I know something's going to change with this YouTube channel. I can feel it. I just can't see it yet. So I'm not going to seek to control that or to push. I'll know it when it comes in. I trust myself. My intuition's very strong. And that's all I have to go on. So, with my love, take care. See you soon. Bye.